Alright, greetings my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LO3's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida, and today's date, Saturday, April 1st, 2017. Man, fourth month of the year has already begun. Baseball season's coming up for the major leagues. A lot of insane news as usual. And of course, the claim that Michael Flynn is going to testify against President Donald Trump on the Russian tides, allegedly, and to get immunity while at it. Yeah, I was just like scoping around and just going through the Twitter account. Found some interesting sections in here. Of course, Palestinian staff 3 Israelis is shot dead. Yeah, if it was in Palestine, would anyone care? And of course, real food is in process. Of course, that's Singapore government warns digital revolution will impact jobs. And that's nothing new there. And of course, April Fool's Day, massive spy agency you haven't heard of. I'm gonna just take a look at that. I'll just add that to the memo. Yeah, happy birthday, Doug Owens from Blacklisted News Radio. Yes, let me just see here. Yeah, I may just add that to the memo too. Yeah, why not? I'll probably do that in a little bit. Yeah, I'll do it. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm going to add it to there. Yeah, okay, what the hell. But, yeah, so we're just going to be scoping out a few things. Of course, God bless the Empire, right? And of course, they got stuff here. Broadband privacy. I post stuff on Facebook too, so when you have a chance, check some of the stuff I release, publish on there. A lot of mixed review reports and viewpoints, which has a lot of good merits, not just, well, my opinion. Always got to look at things in the bigger picture. Of course, people are talking about the whole thing on. Oh, I guess got a rain spike space there. Many other stuff is occurring. Yep. Forgive me there, my friends. Yeah, of course. Facial recognition technology. And, Dan Dix from Press for Truth and many others did a video about FBI exposes 9/11 inside job. Pentagon photos re-released. Check it out. Just type it in there. Interesting photos. It proves that the airplane never really hit the Pentagon. There's no skid marks or anything like that. The wings are go right down the middle. It's an airplane. Brought it in. Well, someone may have a point, but the wing probably absorbed with the plane, the core of the plane itself. But many of us aren't really buying it, including many pilots that addressed it as well. And Marco Rubio's 2016 campaign possibly targeted by Russian players. Oh, man. Rubio, you're just another glam boy, okay? I was never impressed with you as a senator. Don't get me wrong, you voted wisely at times, but you know what? Your biggest mistake was rolling over for the CFR and talking about imperialism as well, which you probably never got your hands dirty in your life. So if you want to talk about war and invading countries, go on the front line and don't bring your mirror with you, okay? Don't take a mirror with you. Plain and simple. And stuff on McDonald's. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so like I said, it's just so many things are happening. Oh, yeah, I think progress. I call it think stagnant. Donald Trump sexual harassment declares April National Sexual Assault. Okay, that's just crap. And North Korean government. Oh, yeah, so good stuff is happening. Even on Truth Frequency Radio. Hey, what's up there, my brother? Hopefully you're doing well, too. So, Jihadist Alliance claims border attack in Mali. And more jihadist attacks, yeah. New World Order 101. of course, and all this good stuff. And, I could just go on and on and on. So, all right. Well, you know what? Enough of the small talk here. This is pretty interesting. This came from actually activist post, which many people post on here. Andy Media is one of them. And it came out, this one came out yesterday. It says here, Connecticut could become the first state to give police killer drones. Okay, let's read what you have to say about this. It's only a matter of time on Thursday. The Associated Press reports that lawmakers in Connecticut are currently considering allowing police to use weaponized drones. Connecticut lawmakers are considering whether the state should become the first in the country to allow police to use drones outfitted with deadly weapons, AP writes. A proposal immediately met with concern by civil rights and liberty advocates. The proposed bill, which overwhelmingly passed in the State Judiciary Committee and will now head to the House floor, would ban the use of weaponized drones for everyone but police. They're so special. Rule on how, when cops can use armed drones, would be established by the Police Officer Standards and Training Council, or POTC. The conclusion of POTC's mission statements on its government website reads, the Police Officer Standards and Training Council conducts its activities for the most part as its Meriden, Connecticut facility known as the Connecticut Police Academy. So the rules of engagement regarding the police use of deadly drones would be written by the police themselves. How thoughtful. That's a fact worthy of consideration when rolled up with the rest of the ACLU's David McGuire calls a potentially dangerous president. It is really concerning and outrageous that that's being considered in our state legislature, he told AP. Lethal force raises to this level of real heightened concern. Unsurprisingly, supporters of the bill claim cops would use these armed machines in a limited capacity and only in specialized situations. Government delegates know best. Obviously, this is for the very limited circumstances, said State Senator John Kissel, co-chairman of the Judiciary Committee. We can certainly envision some incident on some campus or somewhere or someplace where someone was a rogue shooter or someone was kidnapped and you try to blow out a tire. Another state senator, however, calls bunk on the notion of cops only using the weaponized drone to do things to blow out, like things like blow out tires. I think the police are taught one thing, says Edward Gomes. You put a weapon in their hand, they shoot a center mass, they shoot to kill. If it's going to be used, you're going to use it to kill somebody. Last year in Dallas, Texas, much was made by the police's forces to use an armed robot to kill a suspect who just murdered 5 cops. That incident was widely considered to be the first time a civilian police force has used robotics to kill someone. Indeed, that a state body is considered in such a bill in the first place is truly signs of the times. On Wednesday, for instance, Bloomberg ran a piece titled, Fear Grows of Terror in U.S. with Weaponized Civilian Drones. From that article, as billions of lightweight drones flood the consumer market and the federal government struggles with monitoring the devices, counter-terror agencies now see a possibility that they could be used in the U.S. to carry explosives or as surveillance platforms, according to officials at a security conference in Washington on Wednesday. No doubt, in the coming days, regardless of whether the bill in Connecticut survives, police forces and legislative bodies around the nation will use news items such as this to justify moves like the one now being made in Connecticut. Police in North Dakota are already allowed to use armed drones, though the time is limited to supposedly less than lethal weapons such as stun guns and rubber bullets. Less lethal, but it can still be deadly. At the end of the day, though, it was really only a matter of time until the American people would have to deal with the prospect of armed drones of the state circling overhead, and it seems that time has come. Okay, so if they can have it and you can't, can we say Police State 101? Precisely, because they are the ones with the badge. Government delegates, they know best, right? I'll just go to the toilet right now and flush it down. And by the way, I am at CJ's Lounge, once again located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, along the beautiful rivers, the new river of Fort Lauderdale. I gotta give them that plug-in. I can thank them for having me do my show here. And I always use, and they're very courteous, where you can bring your pets, mom, paws. Come on, folks. Help the economy, support local shops. Okay. I forgot to put that in there, and I apologize. So, speaking of that, I want to do a couple things. I want to try to get a couple links, and we'll return. Yeah, so I'll try to get a couple things in here, but you can just look up drone strikes on suspects and so forth. I remember there was a video I've seen, a couple of them. One's Aftershock. It was from some army show years ago, and talk about how they can save people from a big major earthquake. And they had another video as well pertaining to how to get suspects and so forth, and use the drones like little tanks and so forth. So, so not too surprised. I was going to look at those as well. But it's interesting about weaponry because they said you're not allowed to own weapons in this particular bill, but only the police can. So right there, it can violate, the Connecticut Constitution as well. If you read Article 1st, Declaration of Rights, Section 1, all men, when they form a social impact, are equal rights no matter set, are entitled to exclusive and moments of privilege from the community. So, and of course, I'm just going to head down here. I'm just going to just keep going here. Because technically the whole thing's property rights as well, but it's going to use suspects. It's going to use stuff to just have the government handle it. That's a little bit dangerous. Like I say, First Article, Section 15, every citizen has the right to bear arms in defense of himself and the state. So if you can't use a weapon of a drone to defend yourself and your family, sounds crazy. But remember, arms are like weapons. So you always have to see it that as well. So if you have one particular group, entity can use it, and you can't. That's like, as long as it's not criminal intent, of course. But it doesn't really make any sense. All right, and that's why I'm always very leery in these areas. But I am gonna add the Connecticut Constitution in here. Okay, it's by Denise Merrill's website. I'll see what I got here. See if they have more. I might use a Ballotpedia site instead. Yeah, it'll be a little bit more bigger. You can read it better. So I'll definitely put that on the table. It's really strange, my friends, when they try to use all these areas. And well, you always got to pay attention. And I recommend everyone in Connecticut, the Constitution State, don't support this unconstitutional referendum. Plain and simple. And it has it right here as well. So, really total deception, I would say. And very dangerous. So, there's things you can use when it's necessary, but something like this, I don't really am fond of it by any means. But yes, definitely make that happen. The people of Connecticut, stay vigilant. Period. All right. Yeah, I'll just put it back here. Why not? Yeah, next one here caught my eye. Came from New Eastern Outlook. Came out today by Matt Martinberg. It says here U.S. NATO forces are butchering civilians en masse in Iraq and Syria. And it's been recently noted that the latest mass casualties inflicted by U.S. and NATO airstrikes in Raqqa and Mosul reveal that Washington has decided to turn its back on rules designed to protect the innocent. In turn, the Times reports that field commanders appear to be exercising more latitude to launch strikes in civilian-occupied areas than ever before. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to state that we're witnessing by far deadliest attacks on civilians in decades. Just one U.S. airstrike on a densely populated neighborhood in Mosul resulted in more than 200 civilian casualties, according to the official numbers released. It has been announced that during the same month, at least 30 civilians were reported killed by a U.S. airstrike outside Raqqa, Syria, where the real battle against ISIS hasn't even begun yet. Up to 50 more have died when the U.S. bombed a mosque in Aleppo. Yet another airstrike that was launched on March 20th, the Al-Mansour area, resulted in at least 33 civilian deaths, as human rights activists reported. The Focus has already announced that the German Bundeswehr was taking part in the attack. Foreign policy, the nation would note that the carnage comes amid a push by the U.S. and its Iraqi allies to reclaim Mosul, Iraq's second most populous city, from ISIS. That's making life terrifying for the city's residents who've endured years of depredations from ISIS only to fall under U.S. bombs. The only logical question one is tempted to ask under these circumstances is why organizations like the notorious White Helmets are nowhere to be found. Did the so-called Defenders of the Weak disappear into the thin air once the funding provided by the United States and Britain ran dry? So then, who's going to expose the ongoing genocide of civilian populations in Syria and Iraq, which the U.S. and NATO allies are committing in broad daylight? Where are those comic book style heroes created just to falsely accuse Russia of the very high crimes Washington is now eagerly committing in the Middle East? Air Wars, which has been keeping track on civilian casualties in Iraq and Syria, reports that there has been over 1,300 claims of civilian deaths from coalition airstrikes in March alone. That's about triple the count from February. It's now clear that U.S. President Trump is not the peace-loving president everybody had been waiting for. The week would point out that instead of cutting American losses in unwinnable situations, moving toward retrenchment and reassessing America's long war in the Middle East. The Trump administration seems to be taking bigger gambles amid U.S. operations, loosening the rules of engagement for the military, and doubling down on conflicts that will only have the most marginal relation to core U.S. interests. There is no doubt that for those who hope for a candidate that would drain the swamp, he is instead making it much deeper. So, who's going to put an end to the genocide of the civilian populations of Syria and Iraq? Solid point. And how come you don't hear about this in the lamestream news? Whether it's CNN or Fox News and all this other garbage cable networks. I recall Gerald Celente did an interview with Richie Allen show in England. Talked about this as well, and you know what? He's damn right. Where are the reports? How come these other sites are not doing it? That's how insulting and pathetic do you think you guys are. We should all put our hands on our heart. Goes, I'm a slave, but still feel free. I will sacrifice my liberty for security because I love my country. It's time to stick it where the sun don't shine. And for the Trump administration and President Donald Trump himself. You're going to keep going with the status quo? If so, you prove to be just another bend-over Bob to the New World Order, just like your predecessor and the person you talk smack about, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Birds of a feather flock together? Possibly. That's how it's always been. We have to be maverick-minded out there, my friends. You see all this house of worship, everyone's out there going, like at some Trump rally in Huntington Beach. I was like watching a few days ago. Of course, Antifa's out there too. And like, USA, USA, build a wall, yeah. You just like the people from Antifa when they try to go, oh, we're against fascism, but we still support tyrannical principles. Something to really look at. Enough of the gang crap. It doesn't work. That's why I did that one show about plutocracy, and you just look it up on my episodes. It's a fantastic quote from L. Neil Smith. I'll leave it at that. So, folks in the United States, do you still want to continue the empire? Do you still want to fulfill the legacy of David Rockefeller? Or you're going to go, police state's okay, the empire's all right, as long as I got my sports or my garbage TV reality shows. I know a lot of folks that are waking up, which is good. But, of course, everyone's, oh, no one's not waking up. Well, you better start exploring. Hang out the same cave gets you nowhere. So, the American people need to start thinking about this. And don't get inspired by Coal Pink and other high-paid organizations to fight for your cause. You gotta be more organic. Think like Thomas Paine. All right? Say yes to a republic and no to an empire. All right. I'm gonna add this in here. What the hell? This comes from Anti-Media again. And, of course, Blacklisted News picked it up. Doug Owens says here, massive spy agency you haven't heard of. If you're one of the countless Americans who was distraught to learn of the revelations by former National Security Agency contractor Edward Snowden, the mere idea that there might be yet another agency out there, perhaps just as powerful and much more intrusive, should give you goosebumps. Foreign Policy reports that the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, or NGA, is an obscure spy agency former President Barack Obama had a hard time wrapping his mind around back in 2009. But as the president, fond of drone warfare, finding a way to launch wars without having gone through Congress for the proper authorization, the NGA also become more relevant. Now, President Trump is expected to further explore the multi-billion-dollar surveillance network. How sweet, huh? Like the Central Intelligence Agency, the National Security Agency, the NGA is an intelligence agency, but it also serves as a combat support institution that functions under the U.S. Department of Defense. With headquarters bigger than the CIA's, the building cost $1.4 billion to be completed in 2011. And in 2016, the NGA brought an extra 99 acres in St. Louis, building additional structures that cost taxpayers an extra $1.75 billion. Hallelujah, right? Enjoying the extra budget Obama threw at them, the NGA became one of the most obscure intelligence agencies precisely because it relies on the work of drones. As the body of government has only one task: to analyze images and videos captured by drones in the Middle East. The NGA is mighty powerful, so why haven't we heard of it before? The shadow agency that sees it all. Prior to Trump's inauguration, the NGA only targeted the Middle East or whatever spy satellites orbiting the globe captured. As far as the most of us knew, the agency refrained from pointing its ultra-high resolution cameras toward the United States. That only may be why the NGA has been able to stay out of scandals for the most part. But under Trump, things may look much worse, as if spying countless people abroad weren't enough. Recently, for instance, he gave the CIA power to wage covert drone warfare, shielding important information on such operations simply by allowing the agency to carry out missions without first seeking authorization from the Pentagon. Now, Trump might as well move on to NGA, hoping to boost national security by turning the agency's all-seeing eyes toward the American soil. USA, USA, I'll sell my butt to the state today. All right. As president hopes to get more money for defense, many have speculated whether he will start to use drones at home, especially since he has already suggested that he supports agencies like the NSA based on his desires to target terrorists. There is nothing that implies he wants to slow down to the surveillance state. The White House has expressed its desires to renew Obama-era spying powers, even as the president battles critics who deny his claim that his conversations were intercepted at the same time foreign nationals were under surveillance in 2016. Cloak and Dagger 101, yeah. A partially redacted March 2016 report released by the Pentagon revealed that drones had already been used domestically on about 20 or fewer occasions between 2006 and 2015. Some of these questions mostly involve natural disasters, National Guard training, and search and rescue missions. Quote from the Air Force Law Review. Articles found their way into the report. In it, Don M. Zoldi wrote that technology designed to spy on targets abroad could soon be used against American citizens. As the nation winds down these wars, the report explains, and assets to become available to support another combatant command, COCOM, or U.S. agencies. The appetite to use them in domestic environment to collect airborne imagery continues to grow. Up until 2015, oversight was so loose that the capabilities provided by DoD's unmanned aircraft system weren't under scrutiny by any other agency. Without statutes that specify the rules such federal government agencies should follow, watchdogs find it hard to keep track. But would it be any better if there were an agency or a branch of the same government overseeing what the government itself is doing? The short answer is no. The NGA has a president, and Trump may want to explore it. As fears grow that Trump will revamp the NGA, domestic stories of police departments using drones to spy on locals are also resurfacing. Some of the most highly publicized instances involve Baltimore and Compton, where police departments deployed aerial surveillance technology without issuing a warrant or seeking authorization from local or state lawmakers. With the president already set, the president might as well ignite a new flight in his continued efforts to fight a war against an impossible to target enemy. After all, he's not a stranger to scandals and wouldn't feel overwhelmed one bit if he decided to turn the country's ultra-high-definition cameras toward his citizens. I know some Democrats are going, oh yeah, I gotta go after him, but if their boys in, it's okay, he's special. Like Chuck Schumer. All right. What could help to put an end to his plans might be exactly what halt President George W. Bush's attempts at setting up spy satellites domestically. In 2007, Bush's Department of Homeland Security set up an agency known as the National Application Office with the goal of establishing direct spy satellite stakeouts in America. Thankfully, Congress stepped in and cut off the agency's funding, but with Americans seldom showing an interest for important violations of privacy or even basic human rights here and abroad, it is easy to see how this massive spying agency could end up getting a carte blanche to whatever it wants once Trump realized he has a power order it done. After all, who will pressure Congress to stop him? Well, I'll say this. 10th Amendment. Every state in the union should start a State Sovereignty Act bill. And if you got those clowns in there in those states don't want it, toss their behinds out, tell them they're pieces of garbage and just Uncle Toms and Aunt Jemimas, and I say that ethically. So, all you Trump worshippers out there, you should remain vigilant as well. Don't just sit back. Oh, my man's in there, my hero, my God. You're the same. If you have that mindset, you're the same folks that did worship Obama. That he's such a great man. Please give me a break. I can puke, laugh, puke, and dial 911. What are you going to do to prevent this? Don't just say do nothing. Then you're a coward. You're a wuss. You're a doormat. And this best person, people I don't want to associate with. You'd rather hear me on my show than meet me in person. Okay? This is how things happen. The war on terror is still a conflagration with the people, domestic as well. The people of Missouri should take that land back. 99 acres? That's unconstitutional by the U.S. Constitution. It'd be 10 square miles, not 99 acres. You folks can read that up yourselves. I'm not making this up. But remember another thing too, my friends. Every high gadget has a flaw. And folks have stuff to counter these drones. So they're going to have a lot of problems. The smart ones. We'll fix it. So I want to end there. How to get a kick out of this one. Speaking of Trump. Can I have a coffee here? This is Trump's mad scientist attack on the Freedom Caucus. It's a commentary from the Washington Times by Cheryl K. Chumley. Sounds like the Tennessee Tuxedos sidekick, right? Short and sweet. President Trump's tough talking, America First messaging has won him much in the way of accolades from conservatives in the nation who were both sickened and tired by the all-talk, all-apology manner of governing characteristic of the Barack Obama administration. But his recent attacks on certain members of his own Republican Party, Trump takes his beloved boldness and gone amok. To put it simply, you can't be condemning the Freedom Caucus, Mr. President. It makes you like a mad scientist chasing after his escape test subject. Beaker of fluid in hand. Drink it. Okay, maybe not that bad, but bad enough. The Freedom Caucus will hurt the entire Republican agenda, and if they don't get on the team and fast, Trump tweeted, we must fight them and Dems in 2018. Say what? Fight the Freedom Caucus? Same as fighting the old down in the dirt Democrat? Bite your tongue, Mr. President. I mean that as a friendly chastisement. And I lied. Back in 2014, Senator Mitch McConnell made a national headlines by taking on the Tea Party movement that was still sweeping through politics. The one that had put a target on his own Kentucky back and vowing with shocking candor to crush them. His widely reported words back then, I think we're going to crush them everywhere. I don't think they're going to have a single nominee anywhere in the country. It was a statement like few others that defined the line between establishment Republican and grassroots conservatives. Between entrenched politician and struggling U.S. patriot, and it was one that underscored just why the Tea Party movement came to be in the first place, to take out the elitists and bring in the constitutionalists. Quick side note, isn't that kind of how Trump won? Oh yes. You can make the case it was the winning McConnell, not the losing Tea Partiers, who had the last word. True enough, there McConnell sits safely tucked in his now majority leader office, but the anger among Senator McConnell continues to seethe. And it's this anger that Trump's touching when he makes statements like, "Let get those Freedom Caucus people, those dang Freedom Caucusers, and all the Democrats too." Grouping the Freedom Caucus with Democrats is folly. They are certainly not the one and the same. Targeting the Freedom Caucus members that take a political fall is folly. These people, unlike few others on Capitol Hill, are driven by principle, and setting them in some sort of White House crosshairs for election time takedown only rallies them closer to their cause. It's herd them tighter in resolve. The Freedom Caucus now has a new issue that orientates, and it's one that doesn't glow brightly on the presidency because it showcases the White House as the big bully on the Hill. And at least we forget the country's just gone through 8 years of bullying from the White House. Heck, Obama often bragged about his Chicago-style bullying roots, if not in word, then by pen and cell phone congressional bypass indeed. I remember that. Yeah. It was funny because I remember he talked about that one quote about Christians, hold on your high horses. You know what I wrote on my Facebook page as a comment? And be a bend over Bob like me. All right, continue on. The Freedom Caucus won't panic in the face of the Trump attack. Why would they? They'll appear the patriot at the gate and Trump the new Obama bully in town. It's a swamp, not a hot tub, wrote Representative Tom Massey of Kentucky in a scathing Twitter message back at Trump. We both came here to drain it. Hashtag SwampCare, poll 17%, sad. And Representative Tom Garrett of Virginia weighed in as well, tweeting to Trump, Stockholm Syndrome? That's a good one. Actually, I posted something on him, on that quote. We'll have him have a guy shoveling elephant crap with a big elephant taking a dump. He's like shoveling it. So hopefully President Trump would get that. Please, I want your response. His Twitter taunt was meant to remind folks how Trump rode a wave of populism to the White House, vowing a people-first politician, second type of leadership, a governing principle that ought to put him along the amicable path with the Constitution first, constituent close second goes of the Freedom Caucus. So come on, Trump. Republicans who hated you on the campaign trail spent considerable time pointing out how you weren't a real conservative, warning how would you turn a Democrat at drop of Make America Great Again hat. Why give this wing of the party a chance for smug satisfaction, at least so early in the White House game? Quit the attacks on the Freedom Caucus. Let the House Republicans take the lead in finding an Obamacare repeal that works. I say open up the damn market. And if they don't, then it's lawmakers' fault. And the American voters will take action come election time. After all, they'll remember how some of these Republicans voted for a bill after an anti-Obamacare bill. Well, Obama was president knowing the White House wouldn't sign. Trump's best bet on Obamacare right now, set aside the bulldog. Be a diplomat. It's the only way now to get the deal done. Yeah, she's right. And it's true. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Oh, man. Hey, I had to put that out there. So, look, this is like I remember how a friend of mine, we trying to tell me about Trump this, Trump that, watching Fox News. I'm like, come on. I got a headache watching that damn show. Pretty damn lame, you know? Absolutely, man. So, this is why I always get a big kick out of these things, yeah? When you got people, I never read that, so I read that. I read that tweet. I'm not impressed. Please, Donald, you're not on The Apprentice anymore. You're the president. Right now, you're a pretty terrible damn actor, as far as I'm concerned. But like I said before, their actions speak for itself. You made a mistake, yeah. Am I crucify you? No. Maybe critical on this? Yeah. Yeah, man. I would. I'm critical. But like I said, have merit. Don't be a parrot, right? And it's true. This whole opinion, like I said, he dropped the ball. But like I tell him and everybody else, you should have, instead of, repeal the ACA, and if the HMO Act of 1973 is still in the books, flush that down the toilet as well. All right? And then another folks, learn to invest in your health. Okay, I remember a gentleman from guy who does Whole Foods said, "Stop eating like fat slobs." People go, "Oh, you?" I'm like, "Shut up." He's right. Whether you go up there or not, your health is the number one priority. Don't just sit there and watch TV and think, "Oh, I'm hurting this and that." You know what? It doesn't work, man. Remember, our body is mobile. So, President Trump, you got how it's gonna have differences. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're gonna be some puppet head, it's gonna backfire, my friend. I guarantee you that. So, I don't follow hype, my friends. Just follow the input, the information. That's why I didn't go around having my flags of idols and so forth. Yes, the person I supported that was ran for president was Ron Paul because of his principles, because he was consistent. So, all right. Next one here came out, yesterday by Sam Rowley. Lawmakers have planned to pay for Trump's wall. Let's check this out from PersonalLiberty.com. President Trump vowed to make Mexico pay for his promised wall along the nation's southern border, but he has yet to explain exactly how it would work. Republican lawmaker from Alabama, meanwhile, is offering a plan of his own. Representative Mike Rogers recently introduced legislation that would implement a 2% tax on all wire transfers headed to countries south of the border. Oh my goodness. Can we get a big chuckle on that? And the amount of money being sent isn't chump change. In 2014, more than $24 billion poured into Mexico by ways of transfers, and a handful of Central and South American countries received more than 50% of their GDP via remittance. The bill is simple. Anyone who sends money to countries that benefit from the porous borders and illegal immigration should be responsible for providing some funds needed to complete the wall. This bill keeps money in the American economy and, most importantly, creates a funding stream to build a wall, Rogers said. Rogers' measure, which has the backing of fellow Alabama conservative Representative Mo Brooks, comes as House Speaker Paul Ryan warns voters that funds for the wall Trump promised simply aren't there at the moment. The big chunk of money for the wall really is next fiscal year's appropriations, because they literally can't start construction even this quickly, he said, addressing a Trump funding request. The White House requested $1.4 billion for the current fiscal year to begin initial stages of the wall project as soon as possible. How about end the drug war? Yay! And how about shred the SPP, the Security and Prosperity Partnership? Yeah, with those ass wipes. President George W. Bush of the United States, President Fox from Mexico, and Prime Minister Paul Martin signed in 2005 at Waco, Texas, the North American Union, can we say Club of Rome. Those little things are happening. Yeah, man. They'll build that wall. So as one of them, of course, don't expect the ones on certain terrorists that come from Mexico to pay American people with taxes. So it's actually our money being spent, not theirs. Okay? Come on. Many of us may have families out in Mexico, and we're legit citizens. If we send money down there, they say, "Oh, you support illegal aliens." Something to really contemplate over. So, I think I find it ridiculous because it's called incriminating, in my view. Some people may like it, but you know what? I don't. So, enough of that. I always say, end the drug war, end the empire, stick it, piss on the North American Union. Eviscerate it. All right? SPP. Get rid of it. Or not implement it at all. Destroy it. All right. This one came out from the 10th Amendment Center, which they posted on Activist Post. Came out a couple days ago. The 29th. Yeah. Yeah, a few days ago. It says here, West Virginia House unanimously approves commercial hemp farming. Michael McHarry. Today, West Virginia House unanimously passed a bill that would significantly expand the state's hemp licensing program, opening the door for anybody in the state to produce or process industrial hemp for commercial purposes. Final approval would set the foundation to end federal prohibition in practice. Delegate Jeff Elridge, Democrat from Alum Creek, and Delegate Jim Butler, Republican from Henderson, introduced House Bill 2453 on February 15th. The legislation would remove language in the current hemp licensing program restricting it to the Department of Agriculture and the state's institutions of higher learning. Under the proposed law, any person with a license could plant, grow, harvest, possess, sell, and buy industrial hemp. The licensing program shall issue the meaning Department of Agriculture would require to issue a license to any person meeting the situation requirements. Without this section, the department could deny any application for a myriad of reasons. I think West Virginia is kind of it in the center. We could have the industry move here to process hemp, the plant itself, and extract all the derivatives from plant you can, Eldridge said in an interview. West Virginia Public Broadcasting reported the limits of the current program due to its conformity with federal law has hindered the development of the hemp industry. But because the strict requirements under the 2014 bill, growers are not able to sell their plants and cannot transport them across state lines to be turned into those usable products. That's limited the ability to create real hemp in the industry state. Federal bill, Farm Bill. In early 2014, President Barack Obama signed a new farm bill into law, which included a provision allowing a handful of states to begin limited research programs growing hemp. The Hemp Amendment allows state agriculture departments, colleges, and universities to grow hemp, defined as the drug, oil, and seed and fiber varieties of cannabis for academic and agricultural research purposes, but it only applies to states where industrialized hemp is already legal under state law. In short, current federal law authorizes the farming of hemp by research institutions only for research only. Farming for commercial purposes by individual and businesses remains prohibited. HB 2453 ignores the federal prohibition to authorize commercial farming and production anyway. Other states. It's good news. I like this a lot. Because, look, right now, the coal industry right now is in shambles thanks to the federal government. Grow hemp. Get that state going on its feet. Okay? I know people have been there. It says a lot of those areas pretty dismal. You know, and it's beautiful. A lot of beautiful people in that area. Excuse me here. I was here by rejecting other states by rejecting any need for federal approval. HB 2453 sets the stage to nullify the federal hemp ban in practice. West Virginia could join with other states, including Colorado, Oregon, Maine, Massachusetts, California, and Vermont, that simply ignore federal prohibition and legalize industrial hemp production within their state borders. While prospective hemp growers would still have to take federal law into consideration by eliminating the state requirement for federal permission, the West Virginia law will clear away a major obstacle to widespread commercial hemp farming within the borders of the states. So that means other states can work together on this. Okay, so that'd be a great move. Farmers in southeast Colorado started harvesting the plant in 2013, and farmers in Vermont began harvesting in 2014, effectively nullifying federal restrictions on such agricultural activities. On February 2nd, 2105, the Oregon hemp industry officially opened for business, and 1 week later, okay, it's 2015, they messed that up here. The first license went to a small non-profit group. As more people engage in hemp production and the market grows within these states, more people will become emboldened, creating an exponential wave, ultimately nullifying the federal ban in effect. Huge market for hemp. According to 2005 Congressional Research Service reports, the U.S. is the only developed nation that hasn't developed an industrial hemp crop for economic purposes. Experts suggest that the U.S. market for hemp is around $600 million per year. They count as many as 25,000 uses for industrial hemp, including food, cosmetics, plastics, and biofuel. The U.S. is currently the world's number one importer of hemp fiber of various products, with China and Canada acting as the top two exporters in the world. During World War II, the United States military relied heavily on hemp products, which resulted in the famous campaign and government-produced film Hemp for Victory. Yes, I've seen that movie too, so it's a fact on its face. Up next, HB 2453 now heads to the Senate for further consideration. So I'd like to say, everyone out there in that great state, support this bill. Don't wait for Donald Trump on the coal industry and all that. The states got to do this themselves. And I believe in this. Reopen the coal industry as well. Prince versus the United States. 10th Amendment. I posted that enough times. Folks, read it yourself. I know I preach that a lot. It can be done. So this is good news, and I really commend this because one thing for sure, get the economy going in your states, and it grows, man. So that's how you have to really observe these areas. Next, we're going to be talking about, this came from Seattle Organic Restaurants. I got this on Twitter. Good folks, man. You should check it out. SeattleOrganicsRestaurants.com. For the mothers out there, 10 superfoods needed for breastfeeding and nursing mothers. Breastfeeding is a natural way for feeding newborn instead of relying on cow's milk and artificial infant formulas. Breastfeeding provides many benefits for the health of the mother and the baby. Mother milk is much easier to digest and can significantly reduce the chances of your babies developing allergies, respiratory problems, infections, and constipation. Nursing also creates a closer bond between mother and the baby, and breastfeed infants are known to be more intelligent than babies who are fed by cow's milk or instant formulas. In fact, a study on 1,000 children show that polyunsaturated fatty acids, in particular the deoxyhexaenoic acid, or DHA, in mother's milk can significantly increase the neural development. However, babies who are fed with instant formulas do not receive DHA, which is very important for the baby's intellectual and neural development. Children who are fed with mother's milk are less likely to develop asthma, wheezing, and respiratory allergies. Hate when they do that to me. Alright, sorry about that. Mother's milk also prevents Clostridium difficile, which is intestinal bacteria that causes inflammation and diarrhea. Mothers cannot breastfeed their babies either because of medical conditions or because they don't have enough milk. Should be aware that most infant formulas have high amount of GMO soy in them. There's a link for that too. You can check it out yourselves. This site's real good about that. Besides the possible health risk of GMO soy, the phytochemicals present and soy known as insulfalones can create problems in endocrine system. And you can click here to find out on those GMO ingredients, non-organic. It is important to eat a well-balanced nutritional diet that can stabilize your metabolism and give you enough energy throughout the day. You can have small serves of these foods every 3 hours to give you enough nutrients that your body needs. Here are the list of the top 10 superfoods that you should include in your daily diet for your healthier you and your healthier baby, preferably organic only. Blueberries, number one. Women usually become B vitamin deficient. Nursing and breastfeeding mother should have at least 2 servings of blueberries every day for its rich antioxidant and nutritional properties. Besides being an incredible source of B vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, blueberries are great for boosting energy. 2. Broccoli provides a wide range of micronutrients for nursing mothers and babies. Sorry about that. It's been glitching on me. I don't know if I'm probably hitting some wrong button here. All right, I'm just going to see. Oh, wait, okay. Broccoli is also known for its anti-cancerous properties, including stomach disorders and curing stomach infection. Very good. 3. Kale. Kale has the right balance between magnesium and calcium, and the calcium in kale helps with mother's sleeping patterns. Besides having tremendous minerals and vitamins, kale has special antioxidants like carotenoids and flavonoids that are anti-cancerous. 4. Cranberries. Cranberries have tremendous amount of vitamin C that allows bodies to absorb other nutrients properly. Cranberries are also antibacterial, close to the cholesterol level, and reduce the chances of stomach cancer. 5. Wild salmon, preferably fresh and non-frozen. Wild sockeye salmon is a great source of polyunsaturated fatty acids, in particular the DHA that helps with proper brain formation, increase eyesight, and strong nerves and reduce depression. Wild salmon is a great source of vitamin B12 that's essential for breastfeeding mothers and growing kids. Wild salmon is also a great lean protein and the lowest mercury containing fish. Didn't know that. 6. Apples. Apples are wonderful for pregnant and nursing mothers that gives the fetuses essential nutrients that they need for development. 7. Celery. Celery has rare micronutrients, and I am getting annoyed because I'm trying to things skipping on me. I have no intent to, going back and forth. Good grief. Excuse my language. Excuse me, man. Good grief. It's annoying at times, I'm trying to read and it's like, boop, hit this next site. I'm not even touching it. All right. 7. Celery. Celery has micronutrients, a tremendous amount of vitamin C that helps with absorption of other nutrients. Celery can also increase the body's immune system against infection and inflammatory diseases. 8. Pineapple is a great anti-inflammatory fruit that helps get against bloating. Pineapple also helps gastrointestinal to remain optimum for breastfeeding and nursing mothers. 9. Lots of romaine lettuce and seaweed for vitamin K. Your body might be deficient for vitamin K, but while pregnancy or nursing, you want to make sure you don't have vitamin K deficiency. Romaine lettuce and seaweed are great sources of vitamin K and other nutrients that are essential for the health of breastfeeding and nursing mothers and babies. 10. Herbs, including parsley, oregano, and herbal extracts. Extra herbs, including parsley and oregano, can help pregnant women or breastfeeding and nursing mothers by boosting their immune system. Also, herbal extracts can be very useful and beneficial for breastfeeding mothers and babies. Check out Mountain Meadow Herbal Extract for breastfeeding and nursing mothers. For more information, click here. Yes, even the men should have this as well. Okay, we should all have this. Try to get foods that are a lot more organic. Try to stay away from these fast food joints like Burger King and McDonald's. I don't have those bad habits too, but those are certain ones I have been avoiding them. And you know what? It feels really good when I do. And this thing likes to skip on me. Stop it. He wants to go back to superfoods, which is great stuff. Don't get me wrong. So I gotta laugh about it. If I take it too seriously, I'll get grit a lot quicker. Something to really look at, man. You know, really nice, good stuff. Hey, there's a lot of women out there I adore. I want to, if they get married and have children, yeah, I'm about to send this to them as well. You know, because everyone has the right to know. And my boy Jake's hanging out here saying, "Hey, pops, when to go? I'm almost done, baby. Lay down, okay? Lay down." So he'd be chilling. We'll give him a walk. He's like, so finally, it's from Ready Nutrition. It came out yesterday. But Lou Rockwell shared this, which is good. And this is entitled, "These Aren't Considered SHT Survival Skills, but They Really Should Be." It's by Joshua Krause. Can you grow your own food, raise your own stock, Can you fix your own car? Are you a competent marksman? Can you hunt and fish? Do you know your way around a first aid kit? Can you make your own biofuel? How about bartering? Everyone who's interested in prepping has heard about or considered learning some of those skills, among many others. Countless times already, these are certain skills that seem essential for surviving a catastrophic event, and they are repeatedly mentioned and discussed ad nauseum in the prepper community. Of course, they are vitally important and sophisticated subjects that warrant lots of discussions. But there are a few skills that are often totally overlooked, probably because they seem mundane and unexciting. That, however, doesn't mean they should be ignored. If you're looking to tack a few more skills under your belt, or at least confirm that you don't have any of these gaps in your prepper education, consider the following. Learning another language. If a society collapsed, nation-state borders will temporarily lose their meaning. People living in immigrant enclaves, gated communities in small towns across the country would be uprooted from their lives. Everyone would be wrenched away from their social bubbles. In other words, would be running into all kinds of people who you would normally never meet. And a lot of those folks will speak a different language. The more languages you know, the less misunderstanding you'll face after the collapse. Driving stick. As time goes on, there are fewer and fewer vehicles and manual transmissions being built and sold. The number of people who actually know how to drive stick shift is declining, but this could become a vital skill after the collapse. Stick shift tends to be older, and older cars tend to be easier to fix and maintain. Older vehicles are also easier to hotwire. I'm not suggesting that you steal. There would be many abandoned cars if society collapsed. So if you don't know already, now it's a good time to learn how to drive a stick. Which, exactly. Investing. Investing sounds like a skill that is exactly the opposite of what you need to know how to survive. We think of investors, we imagine people who are reliant on the grid, people who work for investment firms and sit behind computers all day. In reality, investing is still an important skill to have when civilization crumbles. Being a good investor requires you to have a solid understanding of how the world works. So you can use that understanding to figure out what is going to be more valuable in the future. At a base level, there isn't much difference between investing money in a promising company and trading a can of soup for a pack of cigarettes that will be worth more in the future as supplies dwindle. Negotiation, persuasion, conflict resolution. Preppers spend a lot of time preparing to survive violent situations. However, violence is messy and destructive, and more times that then is not it's preventable with a little bit of tact and understanding. Don't buy a dozen guns and thousands of rounds of ammunition without working on your own ability to communicate with others and find common interests with people who oppose you. If society collapsed, the people you should have to physically protect yourself from are the ones who refuse to talk to you. That makes a lot of sense. It really does. Because we're all going to have different views, but when the bigger fish is happening, we need to really on it ourselves. Because remember, if we're divided, we'll be ruled over, one way or the other. Stress management. In the modern world, most people deal with stress by consuming addictive substances and engaging themselves in the endless stream of entertainment. After the collapse, there will be no TV or internet, and the substances people use to take the edge off will be hard to come by. And this will happen as everyone is dealing with the most stressful event anyone has seen in generations. If you can't handle hard times with the aid of a stiff drink and a cigarette, then you're not ready to cope with an event that could destroy our civilization. I have my tense days. You know what I do? I go for good walks. Enjoy the view, enjoy the trees. And you know what? I feel a little better. Getting a good mile, 2 mile walk. I feel great. I'm more focused. That's something like that's important. And I have to agree on that. It's like I said, my friends, we should all learn these other skills. Okay? And fortunately for me, I'm a stagehand, so I've a lot of stuff I still got to learn. But there's things I've done and learn how to improvise. And many of the folks out there can do more. And that's why we all have our strengths and flaws. If someone's better at something else, they could teach, and vice versa. It's like a form of unification. And that's essential. Because if you got to rely on the government after all this hell breaks, if this happens, then you just entrap yourself to nowhere. I always support urban farming, sharing stuff with the communities. Talk to your neighbors. See what they say, have a discussion with your neighbors. Respect each other. Who cares about these petty things? People scream and yell over garbage. I hear it out there a lot. I'm laughing at them. Read. Lots of good stuff out there. Don't just rely on the internet and all that. We all have these habits, but it's good. They're good tools. But there's others you can still learn, including myself. Hey, I'm up there, but you know what? I got a lot to educate myself on. And every single individual, regardless who you are, where you're from, what your national background is, etc. We all can educate ourselves and share it with others, and vice versa. And you know what? You'd be surprised what you can achieve as a team. And that is it. I thank everyone for listening to this show. I know it's been like over an hour, right? Yeah, it's like over an hour here. Plus, feel free and download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you send something that's interesting I may want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, and Minds.com. Or you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is LokiLuck3 at gmail.com, or into those encrypted fans out there, you can hit me on LokiLuck03 at ProtonMail.com. And today, I can say this, I have opened up a Patreon account. So I'm going to probably add that to the episodes. I'll try to hit my profile page, which is patreon.com. I think it's patreon.com/Loki Luck and 3 I's, like the Roman numeral 3, 3 I's. So if you want to donate money, that'd be great. I'll appreciate it. So it's just saying this, I'm not being desperate or anything like that. But if you want to support me, that'd be good too. If not, I got, people have been downloading my shows and so forth, and I thank you for that too. It's just, hey, peace of mind, because I usually want to branch out, right? Okay, my friends. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.